Hello again. Welcome back to week 42 of year 5 of the Religious Education Initiative. This is day 2. We're going to begin a new reading for the next several weeks at least. This and another will bring us through to the end of this year. So this is a sermon from St. Gregory the Theologian, referred to as On the Holy Lights. It's really preached on the occasion of Theophany in observance and celebration of the baptism of the Lord. I don't know if we've read anything from St. Gregory the Theologian before, so this is a nice treat. So, St. Gregory the Theologian, sometimes referred to as St. Gregory of Nazianzus, his hometowner, he's one of the 3 Cappadocian fathers. The other 2 are St. Basil the Great and St. Gregory of Nyssa, his brother. He's also one of the 3 hierarchs, St. Gregory the Theologian, St. Basil the Great, and St. John Chrysostom. So 2 different sets of 3 in which St. Gregory and St. Basil are 2 of them. So he was a close friend and schoolmate of St. Basil the Great, and despite his preference for a life of prayer and contemplation and study, he was pressed into service by St. Basil in the theological and political struggles of the later Arian controversy. The culmination of this resulted in his installation in the year 379 as the Nicene Bishop of Constantinople, the Orthodox Bishop of Constantinople, a city whose churches were entirely controlled by the Arians, such that the new bishop was reduced to establishing a chapel in the home of a wealthy cousin. With the arrival of the Nicene Emperor Theodosius in the city in November of 380, however, St. Gregory was suddenly installed as the archbishop of the entire city, in charge of all the churches. He preached a series of 3 festal sermons on the great feasts that winter, one on Christmas, the beginning of which has been adapted by the Church as the Christmas Catechesis, starting Christ is born, glorify him, Christos yenate, doxasate. And then this one we're about to read on the Lord's baptism, and then another preached the day after Theophany on the baptism, preached on about the baptism of the individual Christian. Now, he only served as the Archbishop in Constantinople until July of the following year, at which point he retired to Cappadocia, where he wrote and taught until his repose in 390. For those who are reading along for this text, please note that there are a number of numbers in the texts. These are footnotes, and they contain either scriptural references or additional information. They reference, rather, additional information that can be found at the end of the main text each week. So this is St. Gregory the Theologian, oration number 39, on the baptism of Christ, but really he titled it On the Holy Lights. I think Perita Fota. So, again, my Jesus, and again a mystery not deceitful or disorderly, nor belonging to the disorder and drunkenness of the pagan Greeks. For thus I name their solemnities, as I think everyone sensible will, but a mystery exalted and divine in bringing the radiance from above. For the holy day of lights to which we have come and which we are deemed worthy to celebrate today takes its origin from the baptism of my Christ, the true light which illumines every human being coming into the world. It effects my purification and strengthens the light we received from him from the beginning, which we darkened and blotted out through sin. Therefore listen to the divine voice which resounds very strongly in me, the initiate and the initiator of these mysteries, and may it also resound in you. He says, I am the light of the world. And because of this, he says, come near to him and be illumined, and your faces will not be ashamed, being marked with the sign of the true light. It is the time of rebirth. Let us be born from above. It is the time of refashioning. Let us receive again the first Adam. Let us not remain what we are, but become what we once were. The light shines in the darkness of this life and the flesh, and it is persecuted by the darkness, but not overcome. I mean by the adverse power, who out of shamelessness leapt upon the visible Adam, but encountered God and was defeated, so that we, putting aside the darkness, may draw near to the light, and thus become perfect light, children of perfect light. Do you see the grace of this day? Do you see the power of the mystery? Have you not been lifted up from the earth? Have you not been clearly placed above, exalted by our voice and our guidance upward? And you will be placed still higher when the Word has guided this discourse well. Is it some kind of legal and shadowy purification, providing aid through temporary sprinklings and sprinkling the ashes of a heifer on those who have become unclean? Is it something like what the Greeks reveal in their initiations? To me, all their initiations and mysteries are nonsense, dark inventions of demons and fabrications of a demon-possessed mind, assisted by time and deceived by myth. For what they worship as true, they hide as mythical. If these things are true, they should not call them myths, but show that they are not shameful. If false, they should not marvel, nor so recklessly hold opposite opinions about the same subject. It is as if they were playing in the marketplace with children, or rather with truly demon-possessed men, and not conversing with men of reason, who worship the word, though they spit upon this contrived and sordid plausibility. With us there are no births or thefts of Zeus, the Cretan tyrant, though the Greeks are displeased, nor Curetes shouting and clapping and dancing with their weapons, drowning out the noise of a crying god, so as to hide him from a father who hates children. For it would have been strange for one swallowed as a stone to cry as a child. Nor the Phrygians' mutilations and flutes and corybantes, nor all the people's ravings about Rhea, initiating others into the cult of the mother of the gods, and being initiated as befits the mother of such gods. Nor for us is there any maiden abducted, nor does Demeter wander or introduce any Kerei or Triptolemei, or dragons or things she does and suffers. For I am ashamed to grant to the day the initiation of the night, and make what is unseemly a mystery. Eleusis knows these things, as do those who see the things that are guarded in silence, and are surely deserving of silence. Nor is there Dionysus, or the thigh in labor with an unformed fetus, as formerly a head was with another one, nor the androgynous god and the drunken chorus and the relaxed army and the Theban madness honoring this god and the thunderbolt of Semele that is worshipped, nor the harlot mysteries of Aphrodite, who, as they say themselves, was shamefully born and is shamefully honored, nor any Phali and Iphiphali, shameful both as images and as objects, nor Taurian murders of strangers, nor blood of Lacedaemonian youths on the altar as they are scourged with the whips, and in this alone are manly in a bad way, who honor a goddess, one who is a virgin. For they both honored effeminacy and revealed boldness. And where will you place the butchery of Pelops, who provides a feast to hungry gods in his cruel and inhuman hospitality? Where will you place the frightening and nocturnal phantoms of Hecate, and the subterranean games and oracles of Trophanius, and the gibberish of the oak of Dordona, and the fallacies of the tripod of Delphi, and the prophetic drink of Castalia? This alone they could not prophesy, their own silence. Nor is there the sacrificial skill of the Magi and their predictions through cutting victims, nor the astronomy of the Chaldeans and their horoscopes that connect our affairs with the movements of the heavens, who themselves are unable to understand what they are or will be. Nor are there those Thracian orgies from which they say come the word for worship, nor the initiations and mysteries of Orpheus, at whom the Greeks marveled so much for his wisdom that they also made for him a lyre that draws all things by its music, nor the just punishment of Mithras against those who accepted to be initiated into such mysteries, nor the tearing apart of Osiris, another disaster honored by the Egyptians, nor the misfortunes of Isis, and the goats more venerable than the Mendicians, and the feeding trough of Apis, the calf feasting on the foolishness of the Memphites, nor those honors by which they insult the Nile, while themselves singing its praises as giver of fruit, enriching grain, and measuring happiness by its cubits. For I do not speak of the honors given to reptiles and beasts, and the emulation of impropriety, none of which have any initiation or festival of their own, yet all share a common demonic possession. So if indeed they absolutely had to be ungodly and fall away from the glory of God, bowing down to idols and works of art and things made by hands, sensible people could not wish anything worse for themselves than to venerate such things, and to honor them in such a way that they might receive the recompense due for their error, as Paul says, in the things they venerate. They do not honor through themselves the things they venerate as much as they are dishonored by them. They are abominable because of their error, more abominable because of the vileness of the things they worship and venerate, so that they are more lacking in perception than the very objects they honor, being more exceedingly foolish than the things they worship are vile. Okay. So, this is a fairly obscure text, and we recommended that parents skip a lot of the details there. But basically what he's doing as he begins this sermon on the Lord's theophany, on God coming to his people and enduring baptism, uniting himself, immersing himself in our lowliness. He is now comparing these to the pagan mystery cults, which are occasions of encounter with a divinity by reenacting or participating in some sense in a moment in which the god revealed himself or herself to the pagan peoples. He's saying we're doing the same, we are observing something similar. We call it a mystery. In this mystery, God unites himself with us, but it is nothing like what are called mysteries. And then he does something twofold. First, he mocks and refutes the pagan festivals, which were still very popular with at least certain parts of the demographic. And second, he nicely, as he mocks and refutes them, he shows off, he demonstrates how well he knows them. He demonstrates his education, he demonstrates his rhetorical capacity, he demonstrates his knowledge of what it is that he is tearing down and refuting. He is saying all of these things are foolishness and vileness. They are disgusting. They are evil. They are shameful. And people participate in them thinking that somehow that's a compliment. It raises them up. But really all it does is connect them with the evils of the demons. So he's basically preparing his listeners to hear real truth, to encounter a genuine revelation, to meet God himself, come not to immerse us in filth, but to cleanse us and raise us up. So this is what he's doing. This is the prelude. He doesn't go on this way, I promise. But if you want a little primer on the ugliness of pagan mysteries and the mythology of the stories of Greek worship, why we don't want to actually imitate these things too much or at all. This is a nice primer. Look at the footnotes, and you'll see all the lovely explanations about gods eating babies and humans cutting themselves and all sorts of things. So, anyway, if you want, there's a parental advisory necessary for that. But if you want to look in more detail, the footnotes are there. So that's it for now. God bless you all. We will see you shortly for day 3.